Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going to that horrible world known as the JRC, but for once, not a bitch. We're actually going to celebrate with me, folks. As of right now, while still waiting on my tax return, might add, everything. I have finally got myself to the point where everything is now under my name and on automatic payment. Yes! You have no idea how relieving that is. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still a broke bitch. But if I'm gonna be broke, I much prefer to be the kind of broke where my bills are paid. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get to do a whole lot of extras, but I can afford my every so often Silver Dollar City trips, and I can afford, to have everything automatically come out on time. So, yeah, I'm stoked. You have no idea. The years. Oh my God, it's literally been years since I've had everything on automatic payment. I'm so relieved. Like, I don't feel the urge to cry, but like maybe doing a nice solid jig over there, like maybe in front of my TV, might be in the cards. I don't know. So I felt the need to celebrate, right? And we all know I'm a fitness nut who is battling against my genes when it comes to the tiny pooch that seems to remain on my stomach regardless of how much I exercise, and I'm a nut bar. So I decided to indulge. Sugar cookies. I feel like basically a giant weight that has been literally sitting on my shoulders for almost a decade now is now off my shoulders. Granted, I still have all my usual never ending, never stopping for 5 seconds stress, but at least it has nothing to do with the bills now, right? Right? Okay, well, thank you for sharing that moment with me. To the disclaimers. In the description box, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill, folks. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. You're also going to find in there the link to NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually has the balls to see through with their threat. And also, folks, we have linked in there the Ozarks First article in regards to the Agape Boarding School / Stone for Help boarding school. This is a so-called Christian-themed boarding school, one of the many in a chain that stretches from California to Florida, that takes in so-called troubled male teens, that has in pending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all of it substantiated by the hard evidence gathered by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor still on the premises upon multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general who's obsessed, for God knows what reason, with drag queens while letting so-called basically letting these pedophiles who hide behind Christianity like it's a shield get a free pass. And you've got a governor out here who's off his fucking nut. So please share that article everywhere and send help. A caravan, fucking something. Alright, we got the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign as well, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masemba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, and the ever-present, self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, folks, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please go ahead and use those headphones, all right? This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and we speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, parental supervision, all right? Trigger warning, we are about to once again descend into the mad ravings of the lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear gaslighting, victim blaming, abuse and torture apologencia, pseudoscience, lies, and all of it coming from a man with a massive ego and even more massive God complex. So just, prepared for that, all right? All right. So now that I have the happy news, now I have to descend into the stupidity that is Dr. Matthew Israel. When I say stupidity hurts, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about. This is the kind of stupidity that is enacted on us until we beg for our lives. Stupid is harmful, kids. Stupid is harmful. Please educate yourselves outside of your schools, considering that these days they only make you learn by rote and do not teach you critical thinking skills. Don't get me started. At the JRC, pain is the treatment. The treatment at the JRC is punishment. Because it is. Doctor, please don't blow smoke up my ass and tell me it's perfume, all right? Just don't. Don't insult my intelligence. But let's read this bullshit, shall we? The method of treatment at JRC is almost exclusively the use of powerful rewards and educational systems. If that's what you call powerful rewards and educational systems. See, we've gone over this before, but just to rehash, first of all, doctor, none of your rewards are age appropriate. Okay? You have individuals 16, 17, 18, and you're giving them a reward with time in the ball pit. Okay? Pizza party. That might be great when you're in fucking second grade, but when you are getting close to being on the cusp of adulthood, these types of rewards are not exactly the kind that we strive for. You want to know what those are? It means going outside and seeing a movie outside of your hellhole and in the community. See, the doctor's like, but we have our own theater and that can be your reward. Fuck your reward, doctor. Okay? It's not age appropriate. Okay? A real reward for people about around that age would be trips out into the community. Going out and see a movie inside the city. Going out to eat in regular restaurants in the community. It's going out and maybe it's going skating or go play hoops or, for fuck's sake, hanging out with friends that are not inside your facility. Your rewards are not age appropriate, nor are they utilized in any way, shape, or form that would help ingratiate the individual inside the community. Okay? Your educational system is a barely disguised slave labor and stupidity, doctor. I've already gone over my absolute objection of turning all learning into just stuff you do on the computer and how that can stunt someone, especially a fucking autistic. We're not social by fucking birth, folks. By fucking birth. All right? Let's just make that number one here. And yeah, you keep us trapped in there. And basically, your education system puts my focus on the computer and not on the very important interaction between teacher and fucking student. Look at most of us Gen Xers now. We all had that one teacher. That one teacher that really inspired us and made us just go forward and push for more. You want to know where that came from? It didn't come from doing shit on the computer. Okay? That comes from student to pupil interaction. Okay? You don't get that from basically setting them in front of a computer all day and saying, good use of resources, all right? Let's talk about that education some more, shall we? What are these students learning by having work 8 hours a day, wrapping up popsicle sticks? How is that going to transition into something that will assist them in the real world? Because it doesn't, doctor. It doesn't. You ever interact with any of these individuals who work in the workshops? And believe me, that's its own subject. And don't fucking get me started on how they let these people pay these guys literally pennies on the hour. That's its own subject entirely, which I'm sure once I manage to close this school down, I'm going to go full bore. Full bore. I do not have enough time in the day to tell you all the shit that people get away with when it comes to us. But let's focus on the JRC for a moment. What is these popsicle sticks teaching educationally that can be actually used in the real world? It can't. You want to know what it prepares them for? A life of being stuck in the workshops. The workshops is where they will put bundles together on almost on a conveyor belt. Think kind of warehouse work here. And the government allows them sub-minimum wage, which means they get away with paying these kids pennies on the hour. Some of these individuals are working their 8 hours a day. Yeah. Right? What a great future. Your educational system is a joke, doctor. Your rewards are not age appropriate, nor in any way actually lead to more meaningful interaction between the student and the community that they reside in. You're isolating them. Okay? You're putting them in your make-believe torture fairy tale. I don't know what it is, but it's fucking bad. But let's move on. More information about the reward and educational systems provided by JRC is provided herein in Section 11E1. Doctor, please stop. I've seen your educational programs. They're fucking jokes. Okay? They're fucking jokes, and they in no way even get these kids prepped for transition age services. None of these kids are fucking ready for that. When you have them wrap up popsicle sticks and have them identify triangles, that's not going to prep them even for pre-transition, where they need to be when transition age services starts kicking in. Remember, transition age services, this is my special area, folks. This is what I helped develop out here in my own state. This is my special area. It's a joke. Please stop trying to make it something it isn't. The frequency of the use of adverse interventions at JRC is a tiny fraction of 1% when compared with the rewards and educational systems used at JRC every day. For fuck's sake, doctor. You are so full of shit. You're so full of shit. I know, having read the New York report, having read the corroborative testimonies that back that report up, from reading your own DESI reports, that that's a crock of shit. Matter of fact, it takes up at least a good 25% of their day. These kids, at a minimum, at fucking minimum, are receiving 10 shots a day. And that's a lie, doctor. And we've already discussed why your rewards and educational systems are a fucking joke. Because they are. We're talking about a so-called educational system that would be better used within a preschool. Okay? It's not age appropriate. It does not engage with teacher-to-pupil connection, which, by the way, is huge if you're fucking autistic. Let me give you an example to my own life. I had that teacher / band director / choral director. His name was Max Akers. Brilliant man who put the time in with me. He coached me vocally. Because of him, in spite of the fact that I did not come out of a rich family, I was trained, basically professionally trained on how to sing. I was professionally trained on how to play my flute because he was willing to take the time with me. Because we had that give and take as student and pupil. Okay? You cannot underestimate the immensity of that, especially when you're fucking autistic. We don't have many close relationships, folks. Mostly because by the time even we hit teen years, we're already weary of others. You have that one person who takes the time. It's everything to us. It's literally fucking everything to us that we have an adult, a mentor in our lives who's not our parents, willing to take the time to teach us. Okay? Having a kid stare at a computer screen all day, doing your little worksheets, that's not teaching. Okay? Teaching involves communication. But let's move on here. We know your rewards are not age appropriate. You do everything in-house. You may ask, what's bad with that? Well, I started to cover it briefly, but let me go into it here. When everything's done in-house, it's isolating the students. When all the rewards and everything is all done in one place, it sounds efficient, but it isn't. The main reason behind schools like this is to be able to get us to be out and be a part of our communities. How are you facilitating this if you do everything in-house as far as your rewards? Well, Tiffany, you were on a person-centered plan. How did that work for you? Very simple. You'd go out to movies. We would figure out something that I looked up on the computer on how I wanted to learn how to cook. And we put everything together, and not only was it a reward, but it was also teaching me something valuable that I was able to carry into upper adulthood. It'd be going out to the park. It would be going skating. It would be going to Silver Dollar City. You see where I'm going with this. Going shopping. These rewards would force me to go out into the community to begin to forge those ties. One of those ties that I made during this time is what got me to become a part of the disability and autism and neurodiverse rights movement in the first place. The individuals, the ties that I made out in my community during this time, while doing my rewards. This is how I know all this. It started there. That's what I'm talking about. These kids are being robbed of that. and they call it rewards. But let's move on. Skin shock aversives are used with less than 23% of JRC's school-age population, with less than 43% of JRC's overall population. Doctor, let me explain something to you. First off, that's a lie. It's 25%. By the way, that's not a small fucking number. That is a quarter of your fucking students are on that device. Now, doctor, explain to me, out of those 25% that you have on your torture device, why is nearly every single fucking one of them a student of color? Oh, we don't want to talk about that, do we? We don't want to talk about the fact that a lot of these individuals who are put on this device, who are put on 4-point boards, like Andre, are students of color. But I'm willing to talk about it. How about you, doctor? Any comments? If you don't see the racism there, you're blind. Now let's talk about residual effects of abuse and torture. See, these kids are mingled in with the so-called not strapped up individuals in their classrooms. So tell me, you're a person who's in this classroom, sitting next to someone who's hooked up to this device. Randomly, because they stood up, this person is being shocked and screaming in agony. Explain to me how you're supposed to focus on your studies when that's going on right next to you. Or how about the fact that they would use that as a mark against you and maybe deprive you of some food because you dare act with even a small amount of compassion? In fact, we know JRC for a fact that anyone who would try to show any sort of compassion or show any form of distress while you were torturing the person sitting next to them, you'd shock them next. Receipts are a beautiful thing. So if you don't believe me, please, I encourage you, click on that link to Autistic Hoya. It's called the Living Archive. I show my receipts, doctor. How about you? For those students whose programs do require skin shock aversives, they receive a median of 0 applications per week and a mean of 3 per week. Again, doctor, we know that's a lie. This is why doing unannounced visits when you smell something shady is very important in this field. Because, as we've noted, you can't simply take these fuckers at their word. So that is exactly what New York did. They did not prepare them for them coming. They did not let them know that it was going to happen. Precisely for this reason. See, New York was able to know that the median was not 3 per week, but 10 per day. And they were being shocked over things that they were never told about, such as stopping work for more than 3 seconds, standing up, breathing in a way that they don't approve of. So that's an out-and-out lie, doctor. Now I got the receipts to prove it. The vast majority of this group receives fewer than 1 application per week. Each application lasts 2 seconds. Doctor, again, stop insulting my intelligence. I don't care if it's half a second. You have a kid hooked up to 85 MPa. Barely below the lethal limit. To sit there and try to tell me it doesn't hurt them, it's only 2 seconds is bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. Andre McCullen's screams is a pretty good fucking indicator that you're full of shit. And that was on the 3A at 45 MPa. Yeah. 1 application per week with a 7-hour video that shows over 31 shocks. You're a liar, doctor. You lie a lot. So what are we learning here? Dr. Matthew Israel is trying to gaslight the UNMMDRI by trying to say that everything's all wonderful and we just don't understand. But it doesn't work when you've actually studied this school, the type of education programs that it uses, and their so called transition services, which don't even actually really exist. The reward system is out of date, it is isolating, and it's not age appropriate whatsoever. Okay? They're little field trips into the community, but we have them, Tiffany. We encourage it. You encourage it, doctor. If they fake being neurotypical to your satisfaction. It's not how real services work. See, if you think me going to the grocery store was a wonderful thing when I was a teenager, no, I fucking hated it. This is why I love Instacart so much. It's a sensory fucking nightmare from hell. I can do it. A few times when there's barely anybody in there, I enjoy it. But I get in and get out fast for a fucking reason. You have fluorescent light bulbs with that never ending fucking hum. You have all the condescending bastards surrounding you, answering inappropriate questions, popping up and say, "Good for you, getting out of your comfort zone." Yeah, it's fucking hell. It's fucking hell. Okay? Good, I'm glad we established that. But they did it to get, you see where I'm going here, right? Nothing that they do in this school prepares these kids for real life. None of it. None of it. And the programs that I helped to develop out here that they're still fucking using, use as a part of the reward system going out into the community. It's about not doing everything in house. But part of the any good transition program will not make just the rewards a part of it. You need to be getting them out as a part of community, as a part of their plan. It shouldn't be something that they have to fucking earn, because no autistic is even gonna try. I would fucking act up if it means I would get out of that fucking sensory hell. You think it wouldn't? I've always been a smart bitch, all right? Pick up things really quickly. I would have thrown a fit that would have put a toddler to shame if it would have kept me from having to deal with that hell and the condescension, the stares, the mockery. You bet your ass I would have. Okay? It should be a part of everyone's transition program to do things out in the community, regardless of whether they hit your goalposts or not. Because one day they are going to have to go out there and live in the real world. And what does that mean if you did not prepare them because they didn't hit all their fucking check marks? Just saying. The doctor is so in love with himself and this program that he refuses to see the flaws. That's me thinking maybe he's just an idiot. What I really think this is this man is a predator. He selected a particularly vulnerable part of the public, and when it wasn't enough that it was disabled, he then decided to go to an even more vulnerable population, which would be people of color, students of color who are disabled, so that people would put up minimum fuss to use this as his bizarre utopian fucking experiment, and making millions of dollars while doing it. His programs are bizarre. They make no coherent sense. They do not prepare these kids for the real world after leaving this place. It leaves them with years of torture and trauma and coming out that they're actually far behind even their fellow autistic and otherwise disabled peers. It should have been closed down in the fucking 80s. We're going to go ahead and close on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit those comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. Bye bye, everyone.